Hey guys, so today's video is going to be a little bit different from my usual. Most of my videos on my channel are about makeup, but today I wanted to branch out a little bit and talk about my acne journey. It has been quite a journey, and 3 months ago I went on Spironolactone and Tretinoin, and so I wanted to talk a little bit about my experience with those medications and what my results have been like. So quick, obligatory disclaimer before I get into all this, because I am going to be talking about medications and things like that. But I'm not a doctor, I'm not a medical professional, so none of this should be taken as medical advice for you. That's something that you need to talk to your own doctor about. But I really just wanted to share my own personal experience in case it might help anyone. Maybe it'll bring you comfort if you are also going through something like this, or if you are getting ready to start one of these medications. Maybe it'll help you out, give you peace of mind, or at least let you know maybe what you might expect. I know especially when I was starting to take the Spironolactone, I was basically trying to watch as many videos as I could on YouTube about it, just to kind of I don't know, I like to just hear everyone's experience, so hopefully this will help you out. But I guess I'll go ahead and start out with just kind of talking a little bit about my history with acne, because it's been a pretty long history. I'll try to be as brief as possible, and I'll have those chapter timestamps. You can, skip ahead if you want to, but first I'll talk a little bit about my history. So I've pretty much had acne on and off since I hit puberty when I was 10 or 11. I remember having a lot of acne on my forehead around that time, and I really didn't think much of it. I mean, I was young. I was at that age where it was really normal for a lot of kids to have acne, and I remember talking to my parents, and my dad said that he'd had acne that looked similar to mine, and eventually his went away, and so I was like, yeah. And I actually remember at some point, probably when I was 11 or 12, using Proactive, and I remember it really helped my acne at that time. I think I may have tried something similar later on and it didn't work as well, so that's why I haven't gone back to that. But anyway, so after that, it kind of died down a bit, but then when I was probably around a senior in high school, it really started to flare up again, and it was to the point where I actually went to go see a dermatologist because it was pretty bad. It was pretty, especially in these cheek areas, I was having a lot of just annoying breakouts. And at that time, my dermatologist kind of tried me on all the different things that you try. I remember trying Retin-A, which is the name brand of Tretinoin. There might have been another topical, and then a couple of oral medications as well. I think maybe doxycycline was one of them, oral antibiotics. None of it worked. Once we had exhausted all those options, my dermatologist actually recommended Accutane to me. And at the time, I was 17 or 18 years old, and Accutane seemed pretty serious to me, just hearing all the possible side effects and the fact that you have to go get a blood test every month. You have to sign a form saying that you will not get pregnant because it can cause really, really severe birth defects. So just hearing all of that kind of scared me a little bit. And I was like, I really don't want to go on Accutane if I can help it. And so he asked if I had irregular periods or anything like that, and I said yes. Because my periods were never crazy irregular, but some months my cycle would be 32 days long, then it would be 36, 42, it would just be kind of all over the place. I was having a period pretty much once a month, but the cycle length was quite irregular. So he actually said, it might be worth going to see a gynecologist and see if there may be some kind of hormonal imbalance going on that could be causing your acne. And so I did that, and that OBGYN ran a blood test to check my hormone levels, and I remember I had elevated androgen levels. And she did also an ultrasound to take a look at my uterus, my ovaries, and it turned out that I have PCOS, which stands for polycystic ovarian syndrome. You may have heard of it. I'm looking it up now. It's estimated that between 5 and 10% of US women of childbearing age have PCOS. So it's not uncommon, but with the combination of that slight hormonal imbalance, the polycystic ovaries, and the acne and irregular periods, that was enough to diagnose me with PCOS. So turns out that is kind of the cause of my acne, it's hormonal acne, which explains why, maybe I didn't have the best luck with just the topicals or just the antibiotics. So as they often do when you're diagnosed with PCOS, my gynecologist put me on birth control, the birth control pill, and that cleared up my acne beautifully. I was thrilled with the results, and I was on the pill from age around 18 till really just this past year till I was 25, almost 26. So I was pretty much on the pill for 7 years. Yeah, about 7 years. And I think I took a slight break in between somewhere, but all those years I didn't really have to worry about acne because it cleared up my skin, which was amazing. So you may be wondering, well, why did you go off the pill? So in September of this past year, 2020, I actually did decide to stop taking the birth control pill because I had noticed over time some kind of mood-related side effects that I wasn't loving. It wasn't making me like depressed per se, but I would just say I felt very kind of flat and just not like myself. And so I wasn't sure if it was the birth control that was causing that, but I had a feeling it was, and so I decided to go off of it just to see if that would help, and I ended up switching to the copper IUD, which is the non-hormonal IUD. Love it, by the way. That's not what this video is about, but I'm very glad I made that switch. And going off the pill, I definitely started to feel a lot better mentally. Now, I want to be very, very clear here because I really don't want to contribute to this like fear-mongering surrounding hormonal birth control that I feel like is everywhere you look nowadays. I recognize that the pill and all types of hormonal birth control can be very, very helpful for some people. It can really improve your quality of life. For me, it was great for, you know, 5-6 years. So I definitely don't want anyone to twist my words and think that I'm saying that, oh, the pill is like poison, you should all go off of it, because that is not at all what I'm saying. I think it is fantastic. I love modern medicine, huge fan of it, but I just came to realize it wasn't for me personally. So my doctor did warn me that, you know, once you go off the pill, you probably will start to see that acne coming back. And I was okay with that. I was prepared for that because I knew that I would rather feel good and feel like myself and maybe have some acne to deal with than vice versa. That was in September of this past year, and it did take a few months for my acne to come back, and it did kind of come back gradually, and I would say around February and March of this year, 2021, so about 5-6 months after going off the pill, I definitely, my acne was back in full force. Yeah, it's very uncomfortable. It's very, acne, it's more than just a cosmetic thing. It's very painful acne, and I feel like nobody talks about that, but it hurts. Like, to have these cystic bumps on your face, like, that is painful. Not to mention the way that it can impact your self-esteem and your self-confidence. And, you know, for me, it wasn't so much about my self-esteem because I feel good about myself regardless of, you know, whether I have acne or not, but it's just annoying. It's frankly annoying, and it got to the point where I was like, you know what, I think I'm gonna go back to the dermatologist. It's been like 8 years since I've seen a dermatologist, so even though those medications didn't work for me back then, maybe there have been advancements, maybe there's new things I could try. Now that I'm older, maybe those things might work. So I decided to make an appointment, and in April, beginning of April 2021, I went to the dermatologist, told him kind of a little bit about my history like I explained to you guys, and he said, you know, you could try Accutane, but honestly, with hormonal acne like yours, sometimes it doesn't work as well. Sometimes you may have to do a second round of it after you've already gone through it the first time. Still, to this day, I'd really rather not try Accutane unless I absolutely have to, and it's like the total last resort. And he asked if I'd heard about Spironolactone, and I had heard a little bit about it. I was very intrigued. I'd heard a lot of women especially have had a lot of success with it, especially when treating hormonal acne, so I was down to try it. So he prescribed me Spironolactone, 50 milligrams to take once a day, as well as 2 topicals, which I have right here, clindamycin, which is a topical antibiotic, and Tretinoin, 0.05%, which is a topical retinoid. Retin-A is the name brand, but this is like the generic. So he gave me that whole trifecta of things to try, and I went home super excited, but not really expecting anything, because I feel like, you know, if you've been through this before, you probably know, like, kind of got to keep your hopes up high. No, keep your hopes up high and your head down low, not to quote A Day to Remember. Can you tell at what time period I was in high school? But no, to keep my hopes down low, because, sorry, I was like really nervous to film this video, and I'm just like being a doofus now. I had my hopes pretty low because I didn't want to be disappointed. And also, with any kind of acne medications, they'll usually tell you, like, don't expect results to happen very fast. A lot of times it can take 3 to 6 months of that treatment before you even start seeing any results at all. So I was just like, we're just gonna try it out. I'm expecting it not to work. The Tretinoin, I started using it, well, first I started using it every other night because I had a feeling it would dry out my skin, and it did. It dried it out like crazy. My skin was peeling to no end, so I ended up bumping that back to every third night instead of every other night. Now I have increased it to every other night, and my skin seems to be slowly adjusting to it. And then the clindamycin I was using for those first 3 months, I actually just had my 3-month follow-up visit with my derm, and he told me to keep using the clindamycin. Because it's an antibiotic, I decided to stop using it just to see what would happen, and so far my skin's been fine. So I think I may just stop using the clindamycin unless it gets bad again, then I might try it again. But so I was actually so surprised because, like I said, I did not have my hopes up, but within literally a matter of like 2 to 3 weeks, my skin was starting to clear up. And I will insert some progress photos now. I've been taking progress photos every 2 weeks for the past like 3 months, so you'll be able to see exactly how that looked. But really, you'll see within the first couple weeks, it was already looking so much better. And it's hard to say because there were 3 medications that I was using at once, but I definitely have to attribute most of that to the spironolactone because it was the only one I hadn't tried before. The Retin-A, the Tretinoin, I think it might have helped a little bit, but like I said, I was only using it every third night, and it can take a while to see results with Tretinoin. So I think that really where a lot of that progress was coming from was the spironolactone. By the way, I forgot to say, I'm not wearing any face makeup today. I just filled in my brows lightly and put on some mascara, but no makeup on my face. I am wearing the Kinship sunscreen, which is a slightly tinted sunscreen, but it really doesn't have any coverage. So this is what my skin looks like now after 3 months on spironolactone. So that's kind of what the progress has looked like. Now let's talk a little bit about the side effects, specifically of spironolactone. And then the Tretinoin, like I said, the only side effect has really been a little bit of irritation and dryness, lots of like peeling. And I've decided I'm gonna have a completely separate video on my skincare routine while on Tretinoin because I feel like it would just be too much all for one video. So stay tuned for that. Make sure you're subscribed if you want to see that. But the spironolactone was the thing where, they tell you about, some of the side effects, and you can read about it online. Really what it is, it's actually typically used to treat like high blood pressure and like other cardiovascular diseases, but I think it's kind of prescribed off-label to treat acne because that's not what it's typically used for. But because it is an androgen blocker, if I'm remembering correctly, it can help quite a bit with hormonal acne in women. From what I've read, it can't be prescribed to men, so, keep that in mind. So really, as far as side effects, the first like couple of weeks, I did notice that I was a little bit more likely to feel lightheaded, especially if I like stood up too fast, I'd be more likely to get like a head rush. But that pretty much went away after the first week or so. Because it's a diuretic, it may make you have to pee a little bit more. I take it at night after dinner, and so sometimes I notice I might be more likely to have to get up in the middle of the night to pee, but really not. It hasn't been bad or really that noticeable. And because it's a diuretic, I do try my best to stay hydrated and drink more water than I normally would just throughout the day. My dermatologist warned me that it could potentially cause irregular periods or like kind of mess with your cycle, but I mean, I already had irregular periods to begin with, and if anything, I feel like my periods have been more regular. I've only had 3 since I started it, but they've been fairly regular. I have, though, noticed a lot of breast tenderness that's kind of, it comes and goes. When I was on the pill, my boobs were constantly sore, so I was used to it. And I don't necessarily mind, especially because it does seem to kind of go away after a few days. They were actually really sore like yesterday, even though I wasn't anywhere near my period. But today they're better, so who knows. But I also noticed my first 2 periods while taking spironolactone were more like painful. I had more severe cramps than usual, and that's already a side effect of the copper IUD that I have, so, not too surprising. I can deal with that. I just take Advil and I'm fine. Maybe lay with the heating pad for a little while, but I'm not positive that was due to the spironolactone, or maybe it was some other factors. Could have been a combination of a few things, but like I said, it's only been 3 months, so we'll have to kind of see if that continues. But those are the only like negative side effects I've had. Really nothing too bad, honestly. I really can't complain. One interesting side effect I've noticed is a tremendous amount of baby hairs. Look at this. Like, it looks like I have bangs when I like pull it down. And I wasn't even aware that I was missing hair at any point. Like, I didn't know that I had lost hair, that my hair was like thinner than it was supposed to be, but I mean, that is a crazy amount of baby hair. And I'm pretty sure it is largely due to the spironolactone. I mean, everyone has a little bit of baby hair all the time, but this is like an unprecedented amount of new hair growth here. So I think it may be a combination of going off the pill, but also starting Spiro. And looking back at videos from the past like 3-6 months, it definitely seemed to really start coming in a lot right around the time I started this medication. So a common symptom of PCOS is hair loss. And I believe spironolactone can be used to treat hair loss because, again, it slows down the production of androgens. So that was a side effect I wasn't expecting because, like I said, I didn't even know, like, that, as far as I was aware, that wasn't even a symptom of PCOS that I personally experienced, but apparently I was. So, I mean, I'm not complaining. I guess my hair is going to be thicker than it used to be. So I'm happy with that. That's awesome. So those are all of the side effects I can think of that I've experienced so far. But like I said, I just had my 3-month follow-up with my derm, and he didn't like up my dosage or anything. So I'm just going to stay on the 50 milligrams, and he just wants to see me back in 6 months, which is like end of December. So we'll see, you know, what happens then. But for now, I'm very happy. Truly, like I said, I was not expecting any results at all because, you know, my experience in the past, I had no luck with any of those medications that we tried when I was like 18. So, but I guess I just want to close out the video by saying, if you are going through something similar, or if you're dealing with acne right now, I feel for you. Acne sucks. It really does. I feel like a lot of people will kind of dismiss it or say, oh, you should just get over it. Like I said before, it is a painful condition to have, and it can also really impact your mental health, and those are very real, valid things to feel. I feel like there's this whole kind of movement now of like acne positivity, where you should just learn to embrace your skin regardless of your acne, and you know, if that works for you and you're able to do that, that's great, more power to you, but that's also just not realistic for most people, and you're allowed to want to change your skin if you want to, if you are unhappy, even just with the way it looks, but also with the feeling of having acne and the way that it impacts your day-to-day life. You're allowed to want to change that, and that's totally okay. On the flip side of that, there's also the idea that, oh, you should just clean up your diet. I hate that term, by the way, but, you know, eat clean, drink a lot of water, you know, wash your face, have a good skincare routine. You can be doing all those things and still have acne, and it doesn't make you a failure. It doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. Some people are just prone to acne for genetic reasons. There's all sorts of reasons that you can have it, and none of them reflect on your character as a person. So I hope that if you are wanting to clear up your skin, that you're able to find something that works for you, whether it's Spiro, topicals, Accutane, birth control, any of those possibilities that are out there. The great thing about modern medicine is that it's always advancing. There are always going to be new things to try, so I hope that you're able to figure it out, and sending all my love to you. And yeah, anyway, I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you did, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you've not already. I upload about 3 videos a week, typically about makeup, but sometimes about skincare. So hopefully I will talk to you again very soon in my next video. Bye.